This is Dr. Tom Johnston from Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. I'm so happy to share with you a little bit about evangelism and discipleship. I'd like to focus on 1 Corinthians 3:6, where it says, I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. Interesting thing about Paul's use of the word planting and watering is that he didn't use the word sowing and reaping, which was a common word used by Jesus in the Gospels. In Matthew 13, Mark 4, and Luke 8, we have the parable of the sower, where Jesus said the sower went out to sow. And as he went out, he sowed, and it just goes on and shares the parable of the sower. In John 4:37, Jesus said, one sows, another reaps. I have sent you to reap that for which you did not labor. Others have labored, and you've entered into their labor. Notice Jesus used the words sowing, reaping, and laboring. So we have different verbs used to explain what happens in evangelism. Interesting thing is that Paul here uses planting and watering. Planting is different than sowing. We cast the seed up. When you plant, actually the verb is reminiscent of some Old Testament concepts. In Psalm 1, it says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law does he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. The actual verb there is transplanted. So if I change this to transplanted, transplanting. Some of you that have done gardening, you know that if you move a bush from one place to another place, you transplant it. You have to cut enough of the roots so that you can get the root ball in place, and then you open a hole enough so that you prepare some soil to receive the roots that are transplanted in. You drop the bush or the tree into the newly made area, and you carefully pack it in, and then you water it. You transplant a plant. Well, that's the illustration that Paul used. So transplanting, I planted, Apollos watered, God gave the growth. And what are we transplanted into as believers? We're transplanted into the Word of God. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth its fruit in its season. So we're transplanted to bring forth fruit. The unfortunate thing is sometimes evangelism and discipleship can be seen as enemies, whereas they're really friends. In fact, they are one thing, because Paul said, so that neither who plants is anything nor he who waters, but God who gives the increase. Now he who plants and he who waters are one. So these are one. They're not separate ideas. One sows, another reaps. One plants, another waters. And God is involved in all these things. Very interesting concepts. So when we think about evangelism and discipleship, we're thinking about an ongoing process in which God is powerfully at work, in which he's bringing people to himself. They're being planted into the Word of God, and they're being watered within the confines and the context of the local church to grow and to become more fruitful in his kingdom.